What is going on YouTube? Hader back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we are going to be looking at XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, as well as the S&P 500. Guys, some crazy stuff happened yesterday. If most of you are paying attention to the market, you would know that we saw cryptos like XRP and also the S&P 500 actually manage to reverse back up. This was expected. This was anticipated. This was a healthy swing back to the upside here that I don't want you guys to get confused as a market recovery. So looking at the S&P really quickly, here, I just want to pull up the 4-hour pricing right here. As you guys can see, yesterday was quite interesting. So after, a continued correction to the downside here, the S&P 500 managed to swing back to the upside, which was expected here. Because we were becoming oversold on the 4-hour charts, it is necessary in a healthy, correction that we need to see prices swing back up to recover ourselves back from being extremely oversold to a more neutral level within the relative strength indicator. And this implies with all the cryptocurrencies here because we see the correlation between cryptocurrencies now and the S&P 500. So you can see it wasn't just the S&P that saw the small recovery, which is continuing to dip lower. You can see Bitcoin too managed yesterday. You can see here we were oversold. We managed yesterday to recover a little bit, now bouncing off and retesting a resistance at the 4-hour prices here, which is something we have to talk about a little bit later here. But you can see prices recovered, a slight recovery back up from, we're no longer oversold at 27 on the RSI. We swung back up to 56, which is a healthy correction to allow ourselves to continue to correct down. It makes sense. You can see the last time we did this, we were oversold right here. We swung back up and then fell even lower. You can see we were oversold, swung back up, and then fell even lower from the previous point. That's what's kind of happening now. And it's not just Bitcoin. Ethereum here did the same thing. We were oversold, trading at about 2,800 points or $2,800, swung up, now retesting resistance at the 4-hour moving average here. And it's also implied that we're going to continue to dip lower, back down to lower levels here. XRP did the same thing. We had a 4-hour symmetrical triangle here. We broke bearish, continued drop. This put us into an oversold level here, which implies a short-term healthy recovery, which is what we saw to the upside here. And now we're continuing to dip lower as expected here. So don't be fooled by this. This is a necessary recovery that's ultimately allowing us to continue to dip lower. We have bearish positions opened here. XRP is a continued and implied dip to the downside here. So we do have shorts open on that, or we have shorts coming on XRP here. And the other cryptocurrencies are also going to correct lower. The only interesting thing that we do have to look at here, and this is a small and minor movement here, is with the small recovery that we had yesterday on Bitcoin, it's managed to put us back in, for the most part, its ascending fractal that we have drawn on here, which is quite interesting, and we'll see whether or not we continue to break through this or try to break through this again, or if we're going to continue in here and see a swing to the upside. It's very, very, very unlikely, but it is something I do want to talk about with you. Everything else is seemingly bearish here, but that's pretty much it. Also, guys, I haven't mentioned this that often, but I do have a Patreon, as you guys can see here. I get a lot of comments often about reviewing other cryptocurrencies or explaining certain technical indicators, how to buy long and how to short. I just want to let you guys and make you guys aware that we do offer a Patreon, and I haven't mentioned this, and we've gained tons of subscribers since, but my Patreon breaks us down into multiple tier levels, as well as a trading course, which allows you guys at least to understand the language and the lingo that I speak to make it easier for you guys to trade. So definitely make sure to check this out. The Patreon is made up of me and my friend Brady, and we've put tons of effort and time and knowledge into creating this course to make it the most educational for you guys. So definitely make sure to check it out if you're interested in learning about other cryptocurrencies, as you guys can see here. Cardano, the S&P 500, and other smaller cryptocurrencies too, like Solana, as well as if you guys really want to learn the basics of cryptocurrency, we do offer that course as well. So definitely make sure to check that out in the description of today's video. With that being said, definitely make sure to smash the like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe, and let's dive into today's episode. So guys, diving into the video today, there's a lot of interesting things we have to talk about, mainly the continued correction that's happening here. Top 10 cryptocurrencies, we had a very minor 24-hour swing back to the upside here, trading at 1.84 trillion, up 2.32%. It's really nothing to get, riled up about here. And I feel like a lot of people see this dip or see this healthy recovery as maybe a reversal in the market. And it's possible. I just don't think it's likely just yet. And the reason I believe that is using the S&P 500 as an indicator to basically figure out where the markets are going to be moving to. We're not yet oversold on the S&P's daily charts here. You can see we have become oversold in the past, oversold implies this bottom support here. We're not there yet. The price is there, but we're not oversold. And I do believe that when we do become oversold, that might indicate a small and much bigger recovery in the long term, but I don't think we're there just yet. Because the S&P 500 yesterday broke through this resistance here, or 2 days ago, this price floor here now acting as a resistance, this pretty much implies that we're going to be dipping lower, with the expected bottom, in my opinion, to be around 41.67. This would map out the February and March lows, the lowest points we've been on this correction within the S&P 500. Overall, we've fallen quite substantially. From the top, we're currently down about 11.71%, and at the most, we've been 12.6, which was yesterday, and the lowest point we've been to is about 14.42, and I believe after like 20%, we become in a bearish reversal, and we're going to continue to dip lower, but we are becoming very close to oversold on the daily, which would imply another big swing back to the upside here, which is exciting. It also maps that we could be at the bottom on the short term. The weekly charts have not yet become oversold just yet, but it also foreshadows the lowest point we could probably see in this dip. Since we're not in like a recession that a lot of people are hinting at, I do feel like the lowest point would be something like this. This would ultimately imply a big correction of about 17 to 18%, not necessarily a 20% dip, which is good. That means we're not going to be, continuing to dump lower, but it would set us up for this to be the lowest point in the next coming months. This could set us into June, July, something along those lines here. It's something to pay attention to. Now, why do I talk about the S&P 500? Well, this has a direct correlation with the other cryptocurrencies here. Basically, because if the S&P decides to continue to dip lower, not only does that show a good buying opportunity, because if we look at like Bitcoin's fear and greed index, this means that we're becoming extremely oversold. This opens up some beautiful opportunities to buy into the market. We're in the fear index. Yesterday, we were in the extreme fear index. These are all good buying opportunities, signaling the lowest points for these cryptocurrencies might be very, very, very soon. So depending on how the S&P 500 decides to play out, if the S&P 500 decides to continue to dip lower, and let's look at that. S&P 500 fear and greed index. Let's see where that maps out. Fear and greed index. Is this for the S&P? I think this is for the S&P 500. Yeah, S&P, and it's 125. So we're not in extreme fear, but we're in fear. So we're definitely opening up some good buying opportunities to dollar cost average your cryptocurrency as well as your stock market portfolio. So I do believe that if we fell all the way to like this bottom support right here, which is drawn in this white band, which maps out an 11-year ascending fractal since 2008, 2009 here, something along those lines, if not a 2011. This is basically a bottom point where we would be in extreme fear, and I don't think we'd fall lower than that. That would also map out that Bitcoin extreme fear would be closer to about 31K, which is the bottom support. Now, the only slight weird thing within all these markets is XRP and Ethereum and the other cryptos all are continuing to signal a correction lower. It's just Bitcoin that doesn't. Bitcoin on its daily, we're still inside an ascending fractal, which is interesting. Yesterday's recovery allowed us to get back inside this ascending fractal here. Now, I don't think this is stable, and I don't think it's going to hold. I'd love it to. I'd love for today or tomorrow to swing back up, but we haven't necessarily flashed a beautiful lower correction yet. I don't think it's necessary. I feel like we can tweak these charts enough to say, hey, this is the bottom, this is the top, something like that. Like moving us like this, moving this up a little bit would imply, hey, we're still in this ascending fractal. It's hard to gear where that bottom support is. Maybe the weekly would help clarify that. The weekly still shows, hey, we're still in this uptrend here. It's still working. So it's definitely an interesting marker to find this bottom support here. Because when you look at these charts, we're still in an ascending fractal. We haven't necessarily broken out of it yet. If we see prices tumble to like $38,000 on Bitcoin and we close a daily candle there, then I'd say, yeah, we broke through it. We're probably going to continue to dip lower. But as of right now, we're still, oddly enough, trading inside of here. And there is a support, which is interesting too, pretty much capped right here. You can see where we've used this tons of times as resistances, now acting as a support. It's very possible that the S&P, as we are getting very close to retesting the bottom right here, although I don't think we could get there. This could map out the bottom. We could see a reversal here. Bitcoin could do the same thing right where it is. Maybe we float at this and we bounce up and we reverse out of it. It's possible. I don't know yet. We're not buying into Bitcoin. We're still waiting this out. I mean, even on our Patreon, we're waiting out on a trade for the next couple of days just to get better clarification as to what's going on within these markets here. Ethereum as well is something that's interesting. It's managed to float float right back up to its what also appears to be some sort of support here. So just like the one that I drew on Bitcoin, there's one also forming, for the most part, on Ethereum here. It's definitely an interesting one. It seems like that's pretty much it. For whatever reason, we've been kind of intertwined within some sort of like bottom support. Like there is a price floor here. We've been kind of teeter-tottering off of this. We haven't necessarily broken through it yet. Yesterday implied a correction that would have continued to be a big dump and a big run to the upside. It would have, clearly shown a dump is coming here, but we reversed all the way back up right to where we are today. So it's interesting here. Regardless, I still think we're in a bearish position. You can see on XRP's weekly, we managed to close last week below our beautiful moving average here. So with this candle forming here, it's still implied that we are going to continue to head lower. And I do believe we have a bottom trajectory target at 59 cents for XRP long term here. And I do think we'll see 59 cents being retested before we see prices at 87 cents. Otherwise, guys, that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video. Hopefully that makes sense. Once again, in summary, the small 4-hour reversal that we had was healthy and necessary because we were becoming oversold in the 4-hour charts. This allows prices to swing back up. And the reason it does this is to continue its correction to the downside here. We have yet to find a bottom, and we're not oversold on the daily charts. We were on the 4-hour. We're not on the daily, which also implies that there's more room to head lower. So we're going to continue to let this map out. We do expect to see XRP continue to stumble to 59 cents here, and the correction within the S&P and the other cryptocurrencies is also a big possibility. And we do have a target on the S&P at the purple band here at about 41.67. That's where we believe the bottom is, pulling us back down to February and March lows. If we break through this major bottom support here, we're going to have to reevaluate ourselves because that's going to be pretty nuts, and we could, see a big dump after that. But that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video, guys. Definitely make sure to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, turn on post notifications, subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.